You did not make a hell of a change to your schedule because you did, respect your time and the commitments.
So your sample exams, a couple self exams from NCES, I went all in. I was like, I'm gonna pass it the first time, and there's no way I'm gonna like, I didn't even leave a chance for myself to think that if I don't pass it, I'll take it again. No, I was like, I'll go in, I'll pass it the first time.
No one is a Superman, right? We are prone to sicknesses. We are prone to things getting thrown at us unexpectedly, either through work or through professional life, travel, and whatnot. Hi, Mustafa.
Hello, Wasim.
How's it going?
Pretty good. What about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, Mustafa, congratulations on passing your FE Electrical and Computer exam in the first attempt. Great achievement.
Yep.
So, in this interview, I'd like to go through your exam preparation journey, the strategy that you adopted, the resources you utilized, how you kept yourself motivated along the way. So, let's dive into it. When did you graduate, Mustafa?
I actually graduated in 2019 from Turkey.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it was a non-ABET college, so it took me a while to get the NCES verification, to get all the papers sent. I think it took over a month to do that, and I was very nervous throughout the whole process because, as you know, if they reject it or like for any reason they need like extra credit, that's like an added another like 6 month or even a year of like extra work just to be able to take the FE. So thank God that worked out perfectly. And then yeah, that's basically when I graduated, and as I said, in 2019.
Great.
I think I took the exam 3 months ago, something like that. 2 months ago. That was end of February 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, so about 6 years gap, I would say.
Right. And obviously, as an internationally trained engineer, once you get the EIT certification, once you get your PE license, it really makes things a lot more easier for you. And you have already been gainfully employed and, working at a nice engineering firm. And in terms of your thought process, outside of cementing your credentials within the US, was there anything else that motivated you? I know you came from a word of mouth referral from one of your colleagues who referred you to my program. But was it like, this is going to be my own goal? I want to improve my career, or was it a mix of several different factors?
I would say it's a mix. The first and foremost, like the most important reason, I would say the one that motivated me the most is job security. Because when I looked at the industry, and especially with these times, there are a lot of, downsizing in so many companies and things like that. Even my company that I worked in, thankfully I survived the layoffs. But from what I saw is the PEs are always favorable over, non-PEs or like even people who have a bit more experience, but they don't have the PE.
Yeah.
So that was like my first, wake up call. Like if you take the PE, you're gonna have job security. It's not gonna be like a definite, job security, but
There's nothing guaranteed.
yeah, there's nothing guaranteed, but it's definitely something, extra that the company will look at if they hire you, or even if they decide to do like layoffs or something like that. And the second reason is actually my manager at the company that I worked in. He didn't tell me that I need it like right away or something like that, but he said like in the future you are like gonna utilize it. It's better if you have it. It's as a profile as an engineer when you have the PE, especially with the industry that I worked in, which is solar industry. You work with the utilities, you work with AHJs, all these entities. They require what they call electrical stamping, so it would definitely help you throughout your career. So that's why I went for it.
And then you also have colleagues that were taking it, right? And they also recommended you that, listen, it's easier if you utilize a resource that can help you along the way.
I was very scared when I first like heard about the FE exam. It was way before I started even working at the company I work at. I think it was 3-4 years ago when I was like, it's when I arrived to the US and I started applying for jobs, for as an electrical engineer. And I saw like FE requirement or like PE requirement, and then when I looked at it on Google, I was like, no, there's no way I can do this. Like, let me settle for something else. And then look at it, like a few years later, I passed the FE. I'm looking for passing the PE hopefully this year, and yeah, I would say it's an interesting journey.
Yeah. So let's talk about your journey. When you came across the program and when you decided to pull the trigger on your FE electrical and computer exam preparation, and you mustered up the courage, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it, right? I'm gonna get this done. What was your thought process as to how much time you're gonna give to this particular initiative? As you know, I do a one-on-one Zoom call with every single student of mine. So I do remember it as if it was yesterday. We hopped on a call and then we discussed the game plan and whatnot. But even before any of that, you what was your approach that come hell or high water, I'm committed to it, no matter how long it takes, no matter how much effort it takes, and I'm gonna get this done. Was that your state of mind, or was it like, let me test water, let me see like how this thing is gonna unfold?
No, I would say it was definitely I'm going in. I'm gonna pass it the first time. Like
Great.
I did not slack on any resource. I bought I think it was the book. What was it called?
Study guide,
The study guide. I bought the study guide. I bought your course, and what else? I think I also like
sample
bought
exam
a couple.
probably.
Yeah, so your sample exams, a couple self exams from NCES. I went all in. I was like, I'm gonna pass it the first time, and there's no way I'm gonna like. I didn't even leave a chance for myself to think that if I don't pass it, I'll take it again. No, I was like, I'll go in. I'll pass it the first time.
And the fact that you already knew somebody, first person, right, who you could talk to, who had recently gone through this process, I think it just makes it a little bit more achievable, correct?
It does a lot. And one of the things that was thinking in my mind, how it went from 3 years ago when I looked at it the first time and I was like, there's no way I'm going to pass this, to the state that, you know what, I'm going to go in, I'm going to pass it the first time, is when I saw my colleagues passing the FENP, I was like, if they can't do it, why can't I?
Yes.
So it's not like something it's impossible, I'm just going to go for it, put in the work and then I'll pass it. And that's what happened.
Great. And Mustafa, you know what the interesting thing is? What the funny thing is, in fact, 3 years ago, it would have been even easier for you to
I
pass
know.
this exam,
I
correct?
know. Yeah, that's
As
true.
compared to
That's
three
true.
years later,
That
right?
is true.
Because you had been 2019 2020 graduate, so but better late than never. Now tell me about your exam preparation approach. I know for a fact that you utilized the entire course content from A to Z, right? Completely. You did the sample exams, you did the practice exams, you did the study guide. You did not leave any stone unturned, right? So how did you pace yourself? What were your weekdays like? What were your weekends like? What was a typical week for you during the exam preparation, and how did you keep yourself accountable, motivated? Burnout is the word that gets thrown around sometimes a little bit more casually, but it is a fact, it's a reality, right? We all have limited willpower, we all have limited energy and time in our day. You're also working full time, and with the solar, I understand that, I don't know what exactly your role is, but sometimes the site visits, there's a little bit of travel involved and whatnot, right? Deadlines, of course, work takes priority, right? So in all of that, with all these moving pieces, how did you keep yourself focused and dedicated towards essentially a 4 year undergraduate engineering review in just a few months?
Definitely, yeah. As I said, when I first started, the journey of FE, I had in mind that I'm gonna go in the first time, I'm gonna pass it the first time. So I went all in. I was so consistent. I was so focused throughout the whole course. The way that I paced myself, the way I looked at the program, I actually took the 6 months without looking at the content at the beginning, and I was like, if I needed more, I'll just shoot an email or like talk to the support because I didn't know you before. I'll talk, I'll send an email and ask for an extension if I needed it, or like even ask for the whole 12 months program. And what I did is at the first couple weeks of the course, I was looking at the content. I was going through it, the math. At the beginning of the course, it was math. I was going through it. I was like looking at myself and timing myself relatively to how long it will take me to finish each chapter, essentially. And at the end, I came up with a timeline that the big five, the one you call big five, is going to take me about 2 weeks each chapter, going through the whole the on-demand course, the live trainings, and the homework assignments. And then I decided the ones that are a little bit less important, the other 12 chapters, it's gonna be like a week for each one of them. I added all up and I did the math, and it's about 10 weeks for the big five, and then another 12 weeks for the other chapters. That's 22 weeks, which is about
5.5 months.
it's about 5.5 months. That was like an estimate, and I knew some of them will be a lot faster. and I wanted to play it safe, so I kept the 6 months program. I did not like go for a little bit more or a little bit less. I was like 6 months looks good, according to my calculations, everything will work out. In addition to that, I also accounted for spare time. What I called it spare time. I put in about
Basically, contingency or like a buffer, a safety factor.
Exactly. I put in about 3 weeks of like, these will be the days that I will be tired. Maybe I'll be going out. Maybe I'll be sick, which happened. Maybe I'll have family over for a few days and we'll be able to study. So I accounted for that as well. I kept that in mind whenever I was going through the course throughout the weeks, because it's a 6 month journey. You gotta account for there's unexpected events, getting sick, being busy, as you said, with work, having deadlines, and all of that. So I respected my own time throughout the course, and that's something that I will highly motivate and highly advise the people that go into this program is, once you're in, respect your own time. Consider yourself as, I don't know, as a customer and a client at the same time. You're delivering something to somebody. Consider yourself as the client that you promised 6 months from now you're gonna deliver, this deliverable to them, which is a passing result. And if you don't deliver it, then you failed your customer, and your customer will go find somebody else. So no, you be your own client. Respect your own time. When you went to this, just have that mindset of like passing it the first time, because if you don't pass it the first time, you're adding a couple of other months, maybe even 3 months, because of the window when you take the exam, and you're just, all that load is on your shoulders. And once you pass the FE, you still have to go for the PE, and it's like even harder than that.
Right, right. Well, thanks a lot for that overview, Mustafa. That was very insightful, and the way that you plan things out very maturely, factoring in a little bit of a buffer, recognizing that no one is a Superman, right? We are prone to sicknesses. We are prone to things getting thrown at us unexpectedly, either through work or through professional life, travel, and whatnot. And you made it happen within that timeline that you basically allocated for yourself. That's amazing.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to add is the way I went throughout my program is, some weekends I didn't even study.
Intentional break.
No, 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 not intentional break, but the way I accounted for myself when I looked at the whole program, and I looked at my, daily, lifestyle, and how I wanted my next 6 months to look. I did not want them to be like, after work, I'm going back and studying the whole night, sleeping and doing the same thing the next day, and then on the weekends I'm not going out. I'm not seeing anyone. I'm not doing what I love to do. I did not want them to look like that. I could have finished the course in 3 months if I went
All in.
all in like that, but that's not what I wanted to do.
It's not sustainable, yeah.
It's not sustainable. It's just too much. For me, it's just too much. Some people can do it. I can't do it.
I think that answers the earlier question that I asked you. Remember, I said that people use the word burnout until somewhere around. I think this is basically a strategy to avoid that burnout, because you did not make a hell of a change to your schedule, because you did, respect your time, other commitments, and were able to sort of juggle multiple balls along the path. And maybe this is a secret to avoiding burnout. And everybody's study approach is different, everybody's commitments are different, demands on time are different, but the fact that the exam preparation effort sort of blended in with the rest of your routine without pushing too many things outside or putting you in a state of discomfort, you were able to stay at it for 6 months, and till the end you did not. I think that's amazing. Thanks a lot for sharing that. So that's how we can avoid potentially the burnout, make it a little bit more conducive to your existing routine without shaking a lot of things up in the schedule. So let me ask you this next question. How did you utilize the content? So you already mentioned that you basically created a game plan, but what was your day to day like?
So at the beginning of the course, I'm not gonna lie to you, Wasim, I tried to attend a couple live trainings, but the timing just did not work out for me. As I said, most of the weekends during that time, I'm like usually out doing something, or like with family, stuff like that. So what I did is I went through each chapter. I went through the big five at the beginning, as you said, and was very helpful, because the big five have so much details that at the beginning you're like all in, you're still focused, you still have all that fresh mind to go all in on these big five. So I went on the big five first. Each chapter, I what I would do is I would go through the entire on demand content, the quizzes. I think it was the mini quizzes, that's what they called, the mini quizzes and all that. And then I would leave the very last, what's it called, the last like
Mini
quiz for the
exams. Mini exams.
chapter.
Yeah,
Oh,
for the chapter
the
they
mini
call
exams.
mini exams, and
Yeah.
after every lecture you have the quizzes with detailed
Yep.
solutions.
So I would do all the quizzes and all the content for that chapter, and I would leave the mini exam. I would jump into live training. I didn't watch live training. What I would did is I would do the homeworks, and then I would go back to the mini exam afterwards and do, as like a final closeout for the chapter. I would do the mini exam and then move on to the next one. I finished the entire 17 chapters, and afterwards I did not jump into the what's called the
Computer simulated practice exam.
practice exam. I did not do that. What I did is that's when I utilized the study guide. I used the study guide as a refresher material for everything that I studied throughout the past 4.5 months or something. And it was very helpful because what it did is it gave me confidence, because when I went through the final stage of revision throughout with the study guide, I was kind of scared that I would, like, did I forget all the things that I went through? Did I miss something? And that's when the study guide
It's a very common fear. Yeah.
yeah, and that's when the study guide kicked in and helped me a lot. It gave me confidence that no, I still have all that in mind. It helped me revise, all these concepts. It helped me even learn new things that were not let's say that were not directly mentioned in the on-demand course. So yeah, I went. That's when I took maybe 3 or 4 weeks for the like to finish the entire study guide. And afterwards, that's when I jumped into the practice exams on your website. I took both of them, and then I took the simulated NCES FE practice exam, yeah, the interactive one. And then I took the other one, the PDF one. And then 3 days after that, that's when I had my exam.
Great. And you got it done in the first attempt. So clearly, the fact that you were so comfortable and confident in moving things around and optimizing the resources based on your own schedule and circumstances, right? Um, as much as I would love every single student who's enrolled in the live training program to attend the session real time, I do understand everybody has their own schedule, and I try to make it conducive by setting my times, which are the live training classes, for the January to March session and the September to November session, the winter and the fall are over the weekends. So technically, for 3 straight months, I don't have weekends for myself, but that is the most optimum time and the conducive time and the feasible time for majority of my students to attend. But having said that, still some students are unable to, and they do exactly what you do, right? Using it in an on-demand format and still benefiting from it, reinforcing it. The fact that you were able to keep the study guide until the end as like the final weapon in your armor, right, to bring everything together. Because when you're approaching the exam, the closer and closer the exam gets, the more scared a lot of people get, especially with the timeline about 5 to 6 months, because they start fearing that, okay, maybe I'm forgetting stuff, maybe I won't remember the identities in logarithm that I saw, or maybe, Wasim explained those 4 different variations of parabola, I don't have it in the reference handbook, so how am I going to remember all of that, right? The Bayes theorem, the mechanical approach, setting up the equations and whatnot. So doing the study guide effectively and leaving it until the end, the final turbo option that you a nitro or turbo, whatever it's called in Need for Speed or whatever it was, you left a little bit of gas in the tank for that final push. So that tells me you are very self-aware in terms of your preparation. And ideally, hopefully, when students use all the tracking tools that I have in the program, the spreadsheet to rate every single section as easy, difficult, and the progress tracking that is built in, the one-on-one Zoom call that we do, the community support, the question and answers that you can ask on the student community, all of that can help you get a better understanding of your own preparation. So once again, lots and lots of congratulations, Mustafa, on getting this done in the first attempt. And I do hope that already it has helped you in your career, given you that confidence and boost. And very soon, I look forward to helping you with your PE Power exam.
Yep. Yep, I'll be there.
All right, awesome. Thanks a lot, Mustafa. I appreciate your time.
For sure, Wasim. Thank you, Wasim.
If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. On a weekly basis, I'm creating content for FE electrical and PE power exam preparation. I also discuss topics related to electrical engineering with a focus on power systems engineering. If you'd like to learn more about my FE electrical and PE power exam preparation programs, please visit my website, StudyForFE.com.